You've probably heard of the Valley of the Kings, which is near Luxor in central Egypt. So when I was there, here's what happened. You had to buy this ticket, and the ticket was purchased at a particular kiosk. And the ticket was probably 15 inches long and a foot wide. On it, it had all of the possible sites that you could go see, and then you paid for each one of these sites. Strangely enough, a few of these sites, when you showed up, there was no entrance. You just showed up and walked in. In reality, you didn't need to pay for some of them, in other words. At others, when you arrived, there would be a ticket window, and they would pop a hole through whatever the site is that you had paid for, and that would show that you had visited it that day. I went to the Ramesseum. The Ramesseum was Ramses II, the man who dealt with Moses. It was his mausoleum. Now, he was never buried there. But of course, the ancient Egyptian religion was a kind of death cult. This is very close to the Valley of the Kings. That's actually where Ramses himself was buried. But this is one of the most famous sites in the area of Luxor. So I went there. You can see in this picture, that's Ramses right there. That's his pharaoh carving. Typically what would happen is that when you arrived and you walked through the gate, there would be some people standing around there, men, who would ask you if you wanted a guide. For a few dollars, you got a guide. The average person in Egypt makes $2 or $3 a day. Sometimes these guides are awesome. Sometimes they're terrible. The guide that I picked up at the Ramesseum more or less only spoke Arabic. So he would walk me around and point at things and speak in Arabic and explain it. I had no idea what he was saying. So I took out my book and I took out my camera and I started taking pictures of things and trying to figure out what was there. And amongst the things that are there is this. So there are these carvings, hieroglyphs, I guess, on the walls. This is Ramses in the upper right-hand corner. And if you look carefully, you can see that there are people dumping baskets in front of him. And he's pointing his hand. The baskets are filled with hands, human hands. Because when he would send his military in battle, he wanted proof that they won. So they would chop the hands off of the people that they defeated, and then they would dump the baskets of hands to him. Okay? Well, while I was walking around, and I had paid this gentleman to show me around, he realized that I wasn't paying much attention to him anymore, and there was really no one there when I was there. 2 or 3 other people, that's it. And at some point he said to me, "Mummy, you want to see Mummy?" I'm like, okay, fine. I'm sure you don't have a mummy out here in the desert, but fine. What he did was he walked me to the back of the Ramesseum, which is this ancient structure, ruins from 3,500 years ago. At the back of that, believe it or not, there are Roman ruins from 2,000 years ago. And it's really obvious when you transition from one to the next, because the Roman ruins are made out of mud brick. And it's this maze that you walk in of hallways and rooms. It's all open to the sky because at one point it probably had a thatched roof 2,000 years ago, and this is long, long gone. So it's all open to the sky, but there are these corridors that are probably 8 to 10 feet high. And I'm walking along there with this guy. I have my $1,000 camera, my American passport, credit cards, a few $100s in my pocket. And he's walking me along, and I'm going down these corridors and turning right and turning left into this ancient Roman thing, whatever it was. And then we turn left, and we're walking down this hallway. And remember, it's open to the sky. And I can see that the hallway ends. There's nothing at the end of the hallway. And I thought to myself, why did you do this? His friends are just going to pop out, and then they're going to steal my things. I usually don't fall for that kind of stuff. And we got all the way to the end of that corridor. And along the wall, there was a sheet, a filthy sheet. And he pulled the sheet back, and there was a mummy. In fact, if you look to the right, you can see that there's a child, and he was pointing out the anatomy of the child and pointing out that it was a male child. And then he handed me that, which you can tell if you look at it is not just a human head, but you can see along the neck and along the forehead that it's wrapped. I suppose what happens is him and his friends go up into the hills and they start digging around and they find things.